I hope everybody is enjoying their long weekend here in Ontario. Hi everybody, Tim Drudge, View from the South Stands, coming to you on Sunday after, of course, Toronto FC's most recent road game. Late last night in Portland, Oregon, saw the Reds come back from a 2-0 deficit and end up tying the expansion Portland Timbers 2-all. So that's one of the few teams, if not the only team in all of Major League Soccer, that Toronto FC is currently undefeated against. We've never lost to the Portland Timbers. We beat them 2-0 here in Toronto, of course, earlier this season, and now we drew them 2-all away. The game itself was a bit of a good, a bit of a bad, and a bit of an ugly. Perhaps more good than ugly. And I think the team showed some real positive signs in being able to come back and secure points late against a team that was up 2-0 fairly early on in the match. First off, let's talk about the good. I think, and this is in no particular order, Ashton Morgan, young fullback, played out wide on the left side last night. Looked shaky a little bit in on the defensive side of things a couple of times. A young kid named Zizzo, who was playing for Portland, ate his lunch a couple of times last night defensively. But Morgan was really good in the attack last night. He was in on both Toronto FC goals that came, of course, from Perry Morozovic, who I'll get to in a second, and Danny Kouvermans, who I'll get to in a second as well. João Plata was once again, I think, without any doubt, at least in this quarter, he was by far and away again the best Toronto FC player on the pitch, and that's 2 games running right now for Plata. He was excellent in the game against the Nicaraguans, Real Esteli, where he came on, of course, in the second half and scored both Toronto FC goals. Last night, he hit a goal post. He gave everybody fits offensively for Portland, and what he ends up doing, again, from my fairly amateur tactical analysis, is that he creates so much space for other players like Kouvermans to actually do their work because of his speed and his ability on the ball. I really hope that the Reds can find some way of keeping this kid long term, because I think he's a real special player with a real future. Perry Morozovic, who I mentioned in my last video blog, the Reds picked up from FC Dallas, a young Generation Adidas player that Dallas has essentially given up on, gets subbed on in the second half of the game. And what does he do? He scores. He scores a screamer from about 25 yards out. It picked up a little deflection on the way in, but it was a wonderful effort on his part and a real nice way for him to start his account with Toronto FC. That in and of itself, a guy in his debut scoring, is a real encouraging sign. Danny Kouvermans scored a nice goal as well, late to tie the game for the Reds. That's the second goal in 3 games, people. And that in and of itself is quite encouraging as well. That's what Danny Kouvermans has been brought in to do. He's been brought in to score goals. He has a touch around the net. He has strength. He's good on the ball. He's getting quicker. He's finding his sea legs over here in the Western Hemisphere. And he scored a nice goal late to give Toronto FC what I thought was a well-deserved point away. So again, 2 goals in 3 games is a pretty nice clip. If he keeps that up, we might see another 7 or 8 goals from him this season before his account is closed, and that might significantly help Toronto FC sort of move forward. Lots of positives there. As far as the bad goes, again, defensive positioning. I honestly don't know what's happening with this club when it comes to the way that the defenders position themselves. You've either got fullbacks that are way out of position, or you've got center backs that are way out of position that end up causing other defenders to just gallop from their assigned stations, so to speak, on the pitch, to end up covering for some of their colleagues that should be doing their jobs and staying in their lane, so to speak, defensively. I saw that clear as day on the first Portland goal in particular, where you saw Eckersley having to run in basically to try to salvage a bad positional play from Ty Harden that ended up seeing Portland, of course, get on the board early. They got to straighten that out. Yes, there's a lot of new defenders on the pitch. Andy Iro, of course, looked a little out of place as well last night in the center of the park for the Reds. As far as the bag goes, I think the refereeing was a little iffy as well. Portland had a handball that wasn't called. Iro had a yes, I think by the letter of the law, it was a penalty that led to Portland's second goal. But I really think that it was a soft penalty. The guy went down like he was shot in the head with just a little bit of contact. And people, this is a contact game. It's not like, a little nudge and you get a red card or something like that. There's supposed to be a level of contact and physicality in this sport, and it seems that the MLS referees don't seem to get that. In the box in the second half, there was a clear handball by one of the Portland defenders that should have been called. That looked intentional to me, folks. But again, that wasn't called. So I don't think that Mr. Stott, the MLS referee, showered himself in glory last night by the way that he called that game. Now, as far as the ugly is down to two things. First off, Julian de Guzman. One of the things that I was interested to see how Julian de Guzman and Torsten Frings could play together. What sort of approach would Coach Winter and Coach de Klerk actually take in trying to integrate those two players into the same formation? And it looks like what was tried last night was Frings was to be the holding player. He was going to be parked in front of the center backs. He was going to be the guy that was going to push the ball up to the forwards or up to the wingers or up to some rampaging fullbacks. Take your pick. He was going to be the guy that was going to launch the ball up. And de Guzman was going to play more of an attacking midfield role, and that's exactly what he did last night. And of course, in the first half, Julian missed an absolute sitter, an absolute easy peasy, wide open in the box, knock-in sort of goal that would have put TFC on the board, and in retrospect may have actually secured the 3 points for them. Who knows? We don't know now, right? It's all hindsight. But it was an absolute wide open chance that he blew. He pushed up in the attack, and I didn't really see a lot of significant product from Julian as well. I know I've been a little hard on him, but folks, he's making $1.7 million. He's a designated player, and I think the time for excuses with Julian de Guzman is actually long past right now. There are some pundits out there that actually think that those of us that don't see what he brings on the pitch aren't exactly the most knowledgeable soccer people in the world. Well, hey, call me unknowledgeable, but I don't get it. Yes, he's been coming back from injury, but he was cleared to play, he was fit, and he didn't finish out the 90 last night. So I think Mo's last major mistake is going to pretty quickly play himself out of the city if things don't turn around for him. And Ty Harden. I really think, with all due respect to Ty, he's a nice guy. I've met him a few times. He's one of the most gracious, engaging characters that I've actually met around this team, and I've met most of them over the past 5 years. And there's been a lot of them, of course, that have come through town. He's just not good enough. Simply put, he is just not good enough. I will take my chances with some of the unknown quantities, with an Eddie Vidor, with an Ashton Morgan, with a Donnell Henry, with any of the other players that TFC, with Jackson, with any of the Robinson, I should say, with any of the new players that TFC have picked up over the last few weeks. I will take my chances with them because Ty Harden is not going to get any better than he is right now in this system. We've seen what he can do. And what he can do is simply not enough. He needs to be riding the pines. He needs to be playing in the reserve matches. He's just simply not what we need moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, what's next for the Reds? Well, we know what's next for the Reds, don't we? We're looking at, of course, the most important game of the season. coming up this Tuesday evening. I said Wednesday in my video blog earlier. I apologize for that. It's actually Tuesday. Today, Sunday, is going to be a travel day. They're going to have to leave Portland, Oregon, get on a charter flight, fly all the way down to the bottom end of the continent in Managua, Nicaragua. That's going to be about I think about a 7-hour flight. Then they have to get off the plane. They have to take about a roughly 200-kilometer bus ride through the jungles of northern Nicaragua to get to the city of Esteli. So you're looking at a day of travel after a tough game in Portland on field turf. Then they have the day travel. Then on Tuesday, Monday I should say, they have a training day, and then Tuesday, of course, they have the game, and then they have to fly back and play another road game. I think it's against, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's against DC on the weekend. And of course, they'll be seeing Dwayne De Rosario away at RFK Stadium. They have to win this game. A draw, of course, depending upon how the draw works itself out, is going to put them through, but they've got to win this game to salvage something for this season. I saw some sparks last night. I think everybody watching the game saw some defensive frailties, which, again, are almost to this point inexplicable, but they've got to try to work that out, and to give the fans and to give themselves something to hold on to this season. They need to actually qualify for the group stages of the Champions League. So that goal that they gave up on Wednesday past, I hope doesn't come back to haunt them. We're going to see, of course, on Tuesday. I'll have a lot more about the Champions League second leg qualifier up on the blog over the next few days. And, of course, I'll have another video blog up on early Wednesday after the game late Tuesday evening. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy what's left of your long weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.